Do 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 do. Hey 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 hey. Pre-show. It's like the after party, but before, and not nearly as many drinks. Chris Courtney here, new Pragmatic. Just waiting on the couch bot to fire. You know how we go, how we do. Hope you had a great Mother's Day weekend. It's kind of a weird weekend here. Did a lot of writing. Like a ton of writing. I'll give you kind of a peek at the new Fresh Market project here in a minute. It's actually up and live. It's just not. Still like filling in the pieces, if you will. But it's much longer than it used to be. I think I'm gonna have to break this up into a slightly different design because this is so much longer than it's almost overwhelming. We've got some. Also got a little bit of stuff in here from Rebecca. Meeting with some of you. I got meetings with some of you coming up already on the calendar. I know James is in for tomorrow and Rebecca's here tomorrow. If you're watching along and you're wondering how to participate, go to newpragmatic.com. Go ahead and sign up for access to the Discord channel, access to the community. It's right there on the homepage. And saw a number of you. Seems like we're big in Brazil right now. Like Brazil had a big uptick last week. So super glad to have you along. I'm sorry I do not speak Portuguese, but what I found is that most people are here for the Figma goodness, and that's cool too. Because if there's one common language among designers these days, it appears to be Figma. Saw that Instagram, there was some designers from Instagram talking about moving their files over from Sketch to Figma, mainly for the collaboration tools. The fact that we can all get together in a file and work on that file, I think that's pretty cool. Also, for my paying students, know that Figma has given us has recognized New Pragmatic officially as a educational institution. So we have the team account coming your way. So I will be reaching out and asking you for your email address and so that we can collaborate as a team rather than shipping individual files around, which is what we've done to this point. Good news. Couchbot's fired. So, once a time it's begin. What the hell is this? Happy Monday morning to you. Chris Courtney here, New Pragmatic. It is time for the feedback loop, where I take your requests. I don't really take your requests, take your questions, and we answer them in as efficient a manner as possible while also going the long way around probably everything. Got some stuff here this morning from Rebecca. Kind of a slow weekend. It's Mother's Day weekend, so happy Mother's Day to all of the moms. Literally half of the New Pragmatic cohort would fall into the category of mom. So I'm super happy to have all of you ladies along. I sometimes get a chance to see your cute little ones sneak into the camera, which is always fun. Lisa's little guy paid us a visit last week. He's super fun. On this side, we celebrated Mother's Day on this side of the screen, and the little one helped. Little one, which is 12, which means she's almost as tall as I am. She was super cool. Made her mom a card, and we made a cake, and did all the things you do because you're scared to go get flowers because they might have been touched by the wrong person, and you get the virus. So yeah, it's weird. Even the consideration of do we go buy flowers? I don't know. I think I'm going to plant some flowers next week. And when I do that, maybe I can just go clip a few flowers for special occasions. Also, we did quite a bit of writing this week. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen so we can so I can show you a little bit of what I'm talking about. Yeah, that was weird. I accidentally hit stop streaming. I'm gonna have to go clip that out. I'm almost certain. Yeah, now I gotta go to the YouTubes and see what's going on. You know, I've only performed live streams about 200 times at this point, and the fact that I literally click the button that says stop streaming, that's probably the first time I've ever done that. That is really bizarre. Really strange. Not sure why. Couldn't begin to tell you. Let's just go to my channel, check things out, make sure I'm still streaming. It says I'm still streaming, so maybe that's a hiccup that I got away with. Still super bizarre for me. Anyway, I will actually share my screen now. Hey, look at that! I'm sharing my screen. That's the live stream. I'm literally watching that to make sure it doesn't go down. Just refreshing it. Okay, it's still there. That's good. That's also good. Hey, new Pragmatic. Got the big YouTube presence. We're happy to be here. Yeah, I was walking you over here to talk about Fresh Market. So Fresh Market has been moved from UX. It used to be housed. It was the primary exercise that you walked through to go through UX. And I've shifted in a bunch of new curriculum there, new exercises. So now, if I walk you through, you know, one, you can see like this is all still, and you can see I get to the end here and I haven't written out labels for these, but this is the full project. All the exercises that are going to be in here are in here. But when you get in here and take a look at it from a spreadsheet standpoint, you know, I'm adding some videos in as well. But you get an idea of how complete things are. There's little holes here and there. Most of the exercises are complete. So you get an idea of how things are going here. A lot of work this weekend on this particular project. But we're going to come over to Rebecca because Rebecca had some specific questions. She's moving into code, and she said, it says here, has some issues with the hero image, and she reused the same hero formula she had for CarePoint, but cell-wise image is too far to the right and not big enough. Having trouble figuring out how to add a class just to make the cell-wise P intro text white. Okay, fair enough. As far as the image goes, I'm gonna have to take a look and see how big it is. You know, if it's a different size, it's gonna be hard to kind of just plop that in without writing some custom code, especially when you're dealing with an image. The image needs to be basically the same size as whatever the last image was. Otherwise, you're going to get a different output. It's kind of like baking a cake, but instead of following the instructions on the box, you decided to change the ingredients, and you get a slightly different cake. Yes, it's the same box cake. All right, same basic thing, but the stuff you put into it was different. It's kind of like if you put a lot of extra text into this, so you get a much different design. So, so we're gonna have to take a look at that. Also, I know that you had another question that came over from Feedback Loop, and it said you need some help with the rotating animation message animation in the hero section for Cellwise. You tried to prototype it so you could record it on Loom, but clearly you don't know how to animate it correctly. So I want to take a look at that too, and I've got that up here. So let's actually start here. Okay, so you've got 5G deployment, app co-creation. All right. So it appears that this at this hero unit, trying to see how it's constructed. So this is the hero unit. All right. If this is constructed the way that I would like to construct it, okay, you've done this, and it says on click. I wouldn't go on click. I would just do while hovering, navigate to, I'd smart animate, and essentially this dot should move, and then your message should switch. Trying to see how. Okay, it doesn't look like there's any of these connected aside from this first one. I just want to move this over. Yeah, I wouldn't do it. Well, I mean, I guess you could. I guess you could, but I would still keep it right here in that area. And I'm not clicking per se. I'm just hovering. And this would be smart animate as well. All right, let's just give this one a run, because instead of clicking, you want that to just kind of happen automatically if you're hovering over the hero section. So it's happening a little fast, but it's definitely moving. So we've got that part right. Let's come back over to the animation, and let's like try to, I don't know, make this a little smoother. You know, if you said 1200, it gives it a little more time. So do we do it here as well? I don't like the immediate jump. It's like it jumps too fast. Let's take the second one off. I just want to see how far we can go with this. So now we're just linking these two. There's 1200, and you're going from homepage 6 to homepage 7 while hovering. And I'll also let's mouse up, mouse down. I could also try keypad, and I could just say I want to do the like arrow. So like when I arrow, go over, and I'm just going to try to make this to where I can control these via the arrow. That way while you're recording you can just kind of click through. So keypad, arrow, yeah, okay. Let's see how this works. So now it's not hovering. And now it does that, which is not ideal. The problem is you don't get that ping back. You know, the question I have is, I'm guessing that your animation must go back, and it must go across in a, you know, like a flow here. So if I drag these further down, what we should Sorry, I just need a little space to see what's going on. Nope. Yep. Okay, so here on keypad, that way. Nope. Navigate to smart animate. Same thing here. Keypad. Navigate to. Oops. There we go. So let's just see if it's doing the thing we want it to do. Yeah, I think what I would do here, and again, some of this is, it's wireframe animation, which is it's almost like a thing that does. It sounds weird that why. Yeah, let me check out your wireframe animations. Like what? But I like the fact that it's like you can kind of sit there and explain. Yeah, we wanted to kind of get an idea of a gist for how it was being animated. Which is what you were essentially doing. You just kind of had to show them the parts. But if we do this and then we have the last one loop back around, so now we've got this. We can go, oh, well, this is keypad. Yeah. And then it's navigate to. And now I'm not zoomed in enough to see what's there. Okay, homepage 11. Homepage 11. And it's keypad. Come on. Keypad. That way. Got it. And then you get over to homepage 11. And this is keypad over. Navigate homepage. Yep. Same thing here. Keypad over. Yep, and then here it's going back. So same thing over. It's just looping. And now when we go in, it goes back to the beginning. And it goes over here, over there, back. You can't. One thing I don't necessarily like is I don't like the way this is easing. Easing is the animation, so it's got like an ease out. If you just said linear, it should like maintain it should be like a consistent, it shouldn't like speed up and slow down. Which I think would be more appropriate for an animation. This particular type of animation, most of the time I would love an ease in, ease out sort of thing. It's like a slight braking, but let's try to take a look at it now. Some of this has to do specifically with where, with how, some of it is how long, in many ways I want to kind of simplify this a bit, and instead of part of me is like, okay, well, this should just be over here, full stop. And this should be over here, full stop. And this one should be. And keep in mind, you're just giving people an idea. Oops, sorry. I'm still in prototype mode, and that's the problem. You're just giving people an idea of what the animation was like. It doesn't matter if like, okay, so now instead of having to stop at that box, we're just going to go straight back and forth. All right, so let's refresh this. Oh, that's weird. How in the hell did I break it? Somehow I broke it. Let's not do that. I don't understand Oh. Now I get it. Okay, let's undo that. I didn't like the fact that I deleted one of them. See if that gets it back to where it was. Yeah, I got it back to. Yeah, I can't use that back arrow thing. Back arrow doesn't work with this right arrow movement thing, but that gets your animation happening. I do think that there's a fair amount that you should look at. You know, like for instance, this this 5G deployment. Does it have to be gray back there? Could it be white? And that would read easier. And this again, we're trying to get this to the point where people recognize what you're doing. So if I put it over there, save it. That's very weird. I'm not. There's something off about the way your. Let's just undo that. A lot of this with Smart Animate comes down to exactly how these things are constructed. So without getting too deep into reconstruction, you know, the using of the arrow allows us to move that little pinball back and forth, kind of like a game of Pong. And yeah, so that's that. See John Balboa checking in this morning. Good to see you, buddy. Okay, so this okay, so this is a group. Yep. Okay, rectangles there, ellipse. I can't frankly see why the name is the same. We haven't ungrouped it or anything. It should, like this, you know, if I started it over here, that shouldn't break anything. Like, it's still the same thing. And yet it gets mad and then only wants to recontinue from. Really bizarre. Yeah, I don't want you to have to like recreate the thing, but something breaks with this one when you move that dot. I'll go back and put it right back where it was, but you can see in other areas where it doesn't get fussy at all, but there's something fussy about, you know, it moves and then it moves some more, but I want it to just go all the way across and back, and I feel like because of what I'm seeing, I'm gonna have to basically rebuild it just to get it to do that, which isn't a huge deal. I mean, it's just like, okay, delete that one away, put a new one in, but that's what I would do here, so that, you know, as you're you can do this, but it's like click, 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 click. It's got one too many stops in it. It should be 1 2 1 2 instead of 1 2 3 4, like 1 2 1 2. There's only 2 towers. So anyway, that I would look into that. But now your animation. It's the auto animate, but it's how you trigger it that really matters. Let's take a look at here. Comment. Oh, that was like 2 months ago. We're gonna check that off. Okay, let's close that one. Yeah, we'll come back to that. That's part of a video I'm making this morning. Yeah, Johnny or John Balboa checking in. Yeah, people get sick, and it's a crazy time when people get sick because immediately, John's checking in. He had a project he was working on, and a client got ill. The moment somebody gets sick these days is like, is it what I think it is? And yeah, I mean, it it's kind of strange because it's like the opportunity to work is there, but then there's the very real side of these things, which is people get sick, and that's where it becomes much different. Like the way you look at it is like, oh wow, holy crap. People get sick from this thing. It's not just like you can't work. It's like you might not live. So like your whole mental frame of reference changes the moment that you even it doesn't even have to be COVID, but when you are talking to somebody and you hear that they've been sick, like your mental reference immediately now jumps to, is their life in danger? That is such a weird place to be in, and that's where we're all living right now. It's very strange. And think about it. If your kid got sick, would that be is it COVID? Do they have the COVID? That's the first place my head would go to. So yeah. But anyway, John was collaborating and just beginning to talk to somebody about a project, and somebody on that project got ill, and then like everything kind of froze for a little bit, and there you are. These things occur. So wise. Let's jump in. Yeah, right. We're reusing the hero. Let's go ahead and take a look. Also, I just want to check my channel and make sure that things are still up and running. Yeah, we're still live. Thank you, one viewer. One active viewer. That changes. I see the numbers. People check in through the day. It's fine. All right. So we've got things up and running here. One thing, Rebecca, that I want to emphasize is you've got Cellwise kind of living on its own. We want this to be inside a case study. I'm just going to bump it into here. Yeah, I want to move it into case study. And the reason I'm moving it into case study is because if we don't fix the images now, we'll have to fix all of them later. So we might as well just fix that now. So I will get this up and running, and if there is any brokenness to this, I will take a look at it. But it's going to work the same way as Silicandy, images, whatever. So here's Cellwise, and you've already got it, so it should be fine. But if it's not, we'll fix it. Let's go live with this. All right, so here we are, and your hover is working fine, a little rainbowy. So the first thing is like this. By the way, it's a very pretty purple. Like, I like the purple. But the first thing we want to do is we want to look at this background here, and kind of figure out, okay, got P-class intro. And P-class intro, if we look at this and think about, okay, well, how is this constructed? So you have, it's called cell hero. I'm not sure why if you need care hero at all. So I'm going to delete that away just for a second, just to see if that gets us. Yeah, apparently you do need care hero. All right, that's fine. That did something very bizarre. But I see Care Hero, and I could say Care Hero um, dot intro, or I could say Care Hero P. Um, I'm not really sure. Yeah, okay, so that color is applied to intro, so it's probably going to be. Yeah, you got Care Hero intro. Okay, that's just setting the width. So Cell Hero intro, I should be able to grab that color and make it white, which is fine. Let's see here. It's fine. Intro. Okay. Um. Okay. Care Hero intro. Intro. Cell Hero intro. You've got it right there. I think I'm just gonna say color FFF, and there it is. So you know, we're not creating a new class, we're just putting it on this. This is you're doing it this way because you've already got a class. It's called intro. You've put a bunch of styles on it. In this particular instance, you need you need the intro that's part of the Care Hero. To actually, you don't need Care Hero. You need Cell Hero. Okay. Because Care Hero. Yeah, we don't want that on. Sorry. That's only working because you have Care Hero still in play there. I'm not entirely sure if you need Care Hero here. But it's still there. What I want to do is I want to remove Care Hero and just see what's going on. Yeah. There's something in the background of Care Hero. Let's look at Care Hero and see what's happening. So it's the background size, I bet. That's really interesting that it would change like that. There's got to be something else with Care Hero in play. Yeah, it's right here. So if we just said dot cell hero, that should, yeah, that cleans it up. So now we've given cell hero, we've connected it here. Again, this is the cascading. So Octa, Care, Cell, they're all using this as the basis, but then you're overriding that. You overwrote the background image for Care Hero here. Now you're overriding the background image for Cell Wise here. We can get rid of that. We can get rid of this bit of code there because you don't need that color. What you do need, if I go into Cell Wise, is I need to take Care Hero off because we've solved for that. And now this has got the white, but it's also somewhat lighter because we got rid of the Care Hero. You were talking about the placement, and some of this, if we go back into your styles, it's just, you know, do you change this to like 90 on the Cell Hero? Obviously not. That's way too big. But if you can go 60, you know, that's a little better. Sorry. Just kind of looking at it here on the edge. If we go to work, and here's care point. So it's kind of starting at the same left edge. You know, Octa, the beauty of Octa was that it just went all the way to the edge. Just off the edge. You could do whatever with it. There really was no fail, no way to fail there. But here, you've got to have like a really background position on it, and This is where we're going to go back. And you can kind of see what background position does for you. Yeah, if we say, if we say it's going to be 25 pixels, it's going to be pretty close to the, oops, sorry. So 25 pixels is much closer to the right. The bottom, if we say 100 pixels, it moves it up significantly. The real trick though here is responsiveness. When we inspect element, you kind of see it holds that same basic barrier, but as you come down, obviously you get into some real issues with this responsively, because it runs into this left side of the hero unit pretty quickly. And there's a few different ways you could really design this. One would be like a 2-column design where you had, I have a left column and then I have a right column, and I set these up to work off of one another, rather than trying to manage this as a background image. And I'll kind of show you what I'm talking about. Let's just take it over here into Figma. We'll just use this constraints example. So if we were to draw a frame, and okay, so the frame is X big, kind of rough, I'm kind of roughing this out, but here's your cell-wise intro, okay? And your cell-wise intro also has this image over to the right. All right. The idea is that these two, right now, the problem is this is in the background instead of being over the top, and got to change it. So because this is in the background, when this shape changes size, it just immediately encroaches on the content to the left. If these were in columns side by side, this wouldn't be nearly as big of a thing, because when if I were to group these things together, once I group them together, one's not going to encroach in the other. Now they will squish and squeeze and do all sorts of other weird things, but you don't ever end up with this situation where I've got to worry about the image going behind, because they're built off of one another. And you don't see this with your other case studies. Like if we go to Miro, for instance, or I'm not Miro. If we go to Okta, so let's look at Okta for a second. So here's Okta, same case study, right? Well, it takes a while because this is going all the way to the edge. It takes a while for this to become an issue, and you've written media queries to throw that into the background and do what you need it to do. Where this, like CarePoint has a similar problem. You have this point where it comes down, and you have to be very careful with your media query. You have to say, okay, I'm going to snap it off, and then I'll move it to the top. You've written media queries to take care of that. You're going to need to do basically the same thing with cell-wise. Sorry, case. Got to do basically the same thing here, where you're going to have to write some media queries and determine where that breaks, or you put it into 2 columns, because this doesn't have to be a background image. It doesn't. I mean, the way that it's setting up right now, this is like literally 1 column, and then this is 2 column. But part of the beauty of the way you have it is all of them are the same, but you're having to write little specific background image hacks for each one because you're getting all these different types of background images. I think Cellwise and CarePoint are uniquely different than Okta and Silicandy. So that you could have two hero styles here and be just fine. Oh, Chelsea's checking in. Chelsea, good to see you. No, it's not too late. Not too late at all. I like just taking a look at these things right now. But before I lose my train of thought here, Rebecca, I'm going to push this up. Yeah, we changed the Cellwise, but we also changed the CSS, so that should be showing up as well. Oh, it's there. Okay, so good. My light is really bright today over here to my right, and it's kind of keeping me from seeing everything. Get add. Check the status again. Okay, so it's all there. And again, the big thing is I moved Cellwise into the case study so that future linkages of things won't break on you. Yeah, get commit updates from feedback loop get put origin master. There it goes. All right, so Rebecca, you're up to speed. I will check in with you. We will meet here in a couple hours, actually, because I know you have your session coming up. Let's spin out of this for a second and go look at not that. Where's Discord at? Where did my Discord go? There it is. Feedback loop. Design system thinking exercise. Yes, this is me, Google. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. So, this project is centered around the cashless convenience store. And the interesting thing about the cashless convenience store is that, one, this was not a made up. First of all, I have a very hard time coming up with hypothetical situations. Everything that I have, if you see it in the program, it is inspired by or directly ripped from the headlines, sort of thing. The cashless convenience store that was open. This was in San Francisco. This was a couple of years back, but they had a very specific problem. But rather than focusing on just that one problem, there's a litany of problems with a cashless store, and on one hand, as a privileged member of society who's been able to remote work and live in a decent part of town, I've got a computer and all, I've got a lot of the things that are really necessary to take advantage of said cashless store. But I want us to pump the brakes on whether the cashless store works for us. And I want us to look at who doesn't the cashless store work for. Okay? Part of our, I read about this over the weekend. We were talking about, man, it wasn't we, I say we, but as a community, the discussion was about things that never come up things that are crucial to our job, but they never come up in a job interview. And somebody talked about accessibility. And this really chapped my hat a little bit because accessibility and the lack of accessibility will get you sued. Okay? I understand accessibility is not a very sexy topic. But if you aren't taking care, if you're designing for a subset of society and not for society, you're leaving yourself open. You're leaving yourself open and exposed. You need to think about. I think if you design for the fringes, you innovate. Okay. If you think about, okay, what's the edge case here? Because that's where the innovation's on those edge cases. Just designing for like the 80%, there's no innovation there. That's been figured out. Like, how do we get this to more people? So, in the systems exercise, we're studying the idea of this cashless store and looking for where the holes could be. All right, and let's see if you find the obvious hole, and some people discover other holes that frankly I hadn't considered. So the systems, there's the app system. Are there bugs in the software? Slow loading, downloading. Does the customer need a certain phone update for the app to work? So it's not just the app that you've created, but it's the app. It's like iOS or Android that the app sits on. The grocery list system. Is the customer shopping around mindlessly, or do they have a plan? Does the application have a section for customers to pre-mark their items before arriving at the store? Okay, so there's like a subset. Internet. Is it public Wi-Fi that's easy for customers to connect to, or do they need a password? What happens if the Wi-Fi is down? Is the cell phone coverage good for all carriers in this building? Ding, ding, ding. That was the problem with the store. This store was in a noted black hole for cell coverage in downtown San Francisco. It was an Amazon. It was one of the first Amazon Go stores. They'd put it in this place that was notorious. Everybody knew that worked around that. Yeah, you go to that corner, there's just no coverage. You can't, like, everybody's calls drop, everything. And of course, that's where Amazon put a Go store. And then suddenly, like, you're trying to use Amazon's app in this, and this is I say this for you because this is not a mistake that some newbie startup made. This was Amazon, one of the world's largest, most profitable companies, put headlong into the teeth of this problem that everybody in that neighborhood knew. It's as if nobody had surveyed the Wi-Fi cover or the cellular coverage for that space. So yes, they did install Wi-Fi. Question is, how do you inform somebody that they need to join the Amazon Wi-Fi to utilize and to use this service? And is that something that it automatically kicks in? Like, you have to, like, automatically shift to their network when you get close? Like, how do you like get people to understand that and make that leap? But that was the initial. That's where we began with this. So, pretty quickly you've landed on the issue. And guess what? It doesn't matter how great your app is. It doesn't matter how intuitive it is. If we can't get people onto a network, doesn't matter. This isn't something that can work offline. You are literally scanning groceries with your phone. It knows what you pick up, and then when you leave, if the system isn't in place, none of that matters. So, anyway, security system. What are the safeguards against theft? Yes, that's a system. Inventory system. How is the inflow and outflow being tracked? Are bags part of the inventory, or are customers required to bring their own? That's a really great question. Is anybody monitoring that? And if they're not monitoring that, how do you keep somebody from just picking up a bunch of bags and walking out? I don't know. Staffing system. Is staff available to help with customer questions, concerns? How does the staff understand? Does the staff understand how to resolve technical issues with the app? And here is it's funny because this cashless store, you would think that there would be no cashiers, right? So if there's staff there, why couldn't they be a cashier? Like, I thought the whole point of a cashless store was to get rid of the staffing necessary. In many ways, it probably does. It just leaves you with people who are stalkers. They are basically, I'm stalking the store and I'll answer your question. Um, but there is a question of there. The staff here has to be trained to talk to talk people through, like, oh, hey, yes, you've got to be on the Wi-Fi. You've got to be able to yeah, what type of phone do you have? Oh, yeah, it's over here. Like, they have to be well versed in all that, which means there's a training requirement here, particularly for that store. Electrical system, how's the store being powered? Is it solar or through an electric grid? Yeah, if the power goes out in the store, and this is an issue when oh god, CPG, California Power, CPL, Power and Light. There were the brownouts last year, where or no, over the last couple of years, where they've had to shut off power to portions of California because of wildfires that they keep getting sparked by the power lines. So they, instead of fixing that, they just shut off power. Well, these stores require power, so they basically can't operate. Like, these stores basically just lock the doors on them because you can't do anything. There's no way for them to function. Um, Shopping cart system, inflow outflow. It's kind of similar to what was there earlier. Store system, is it the same in both locations? Because in the prompt it says there are two locations, or is each a franchise with a different way of doing things? If you live in a bigger city, particularly mid, well, depends on the town. You'll sometimes see, like, Chicken Shack number 22, Euro Hut 13. Each of those are typically it's a franchise, and they may have some of the similar food on the menu, but it also may change. We have a chain here in Chicago where, yeah, depending, they actually have to rank, like, which version of this chicken place should you go to, because each one is radically different, and some are really good and some are terrible. It's not like walking into a McDonald's where you kind of are at a McDonald's and it's the same experience regardless where you go. The difference between these places is great. So picking up on that idea that, yeah, these could be actually just the same name of a store but really different. What are the requirements to shop at the store? The customer requirements: you need a phone, the working camera, good internet connection, cashless mobile app, register account for the software, credit card, debit card, personal shopping bags, shopping list, cart to carry the items. Advantages: quick, easy to shop. Yeah, saves time. Nice for customers who don't carry cash. I'm one of those. I often feel bad sometimes when my kid will say, "Can I borrow a couple of bucks for something going on at school?" I'm like, "Yeah, I gotta go to the bank because I don't have $1." I'm terrible, right? I'm a terrible person. Backlog of receipts for customers to check and keep track of their spending habits. Store might have less staff on hand, which could save business money. That's the linchpin right there. That's why you see it happening. Like, why do we need these people? Consumer business safety theoretically would eliminate credit card skimming situations due to the axing of physical cash. Also, robbers would struggle if there's no physical cash to take. Yeah, there's no physical cash to take. I could totally see this place getting knocked over for, like, food. There's nobody around to stop me. What are the disadvantages? So how much does this type of technology system cost to keep up? I'm going to tell you relatively little. The disadvantage would fall at the business. Could fall on the business if they choose to absorb the cost, or it'd fall on the consumer Yeah, the technological cost isn't an issue. Is it hackable? That's a great question. Sticky fingers. There needs to be some sort of system to make sure all the items in someone's cart are scanned. Otherwise, the business could lose a lot of money from stolen merchandise. Um, Dependency on technology. What happens when computer systems go down? How does a store close down for the? Does the store close down for the day, or is there a backup system? That seems like an expensive problem. That is correct. Um, does this impact the customer's perception of the store? Could it impact the branding, bad media coverage? And then this last one. This is the linchpin. What about people who don't have a bank account or credit card? Does this store not service those customers? And I'm not seeing the sketch. Oh, there it is. Sorry. It's here. Let's take a look at the sketch just to see what you got. Yeah, so cashless store. Person comes in. So see scan complete. I'm guessing that this, like, I see the person going in the store, grabbing some food, getting the confirmation that the scan is complete, and then leaving the store. What's important here is you understand the flow, okay? Yeah, a lot of people were like, I can't draw, and it's like, yeah, fine, that I get it. That stick figures are fine, okay? This is you. We're talking. We're not talking art class. We're talking about design systems. Yeah, the stick figures are fine, but you understand flow, and flow is crucially important when you're thinking about how an application works. You're thinking about how a system functions. Okay, it's not just a screen. It's how are people using this thing in a physical space. So yeah, you hit all the marks there, but the thing that I lock in on is the two big problems. And this last one right here, this is what's getting lawsuits filed. State of Wisconsin filed a lawsuit against cashless stores because they basically carve out a group of people and say, yeah, you can't come here. And it's not just people without money. Like, there are people with money, but for whatever reason they don't have a bank account. Okay? And John Oliver last night talked about on his show last week tonight. He was talking about postal offices and one of the things that the Postal Service could do to get itself back on proper footing is to reenact postal banking, which would be great for a lot of rural communities in America because they lack a bank. Like, there literally is no bank there. And I can tell you that where this would really become an issue is if your Dollar General. Dollar General is a small, it's like a dollar store. It's literally Dollar General. It's a Dollar General store. They have general products, Cokes and cake mixes and soup cans. You get the idea. If they went cashless, they said, you know what? In Flint, Michigan, we had one of our security guards shot because of some crazy person. They didn't want to wear a mask in the store. You know what? We're gonna make those stores cashless because they're safer for people, because there's nobody that can get shot over the wearing or not wearing of a mask. Walk with me here. It's a bit of a hypothetical. But if all the Dollar Generals in America went cashless, because that would be a huge saver, it would drive up their margins significantly, that would mean people in rural communities where the largest portion of the unbanked population lives would suddenly be carved out in a way. It could actually be a real negative for Dollar General. So you would have to have some way for these unbanked people to shop. I guarantee you there's a lot of people that walk into a Dollar General with a $5 bill and they walk out with like, $5 worth of food. They don't walk in there with a credit card because they don't have one. So, this exercise, while it may seem to stretch out in a few different directions, you hit the two things that I was looking for here. One, you identified a big disadvantage would be for people who are unbanked. And then B, you picked up on the fact that if this place has any sort of internet connectivity issue, whether it is a cell phone coverage in that area or if it is the Wi-Fi itself, the store's not going to work. Okay? And these two things are radically different from one another, but show you two breakpoints in the system that you should be aware of as a designer. And that means that when you're in conversations with your team talking through, okay, how is this going to break on us? These are the things that you bring up. That does not mean that your team doesn't move forward. That means your team moves forward with awareness of the problem. That means that your team moves forward thinking about, okay, so what can we do to mitigate these issues? How can we help solve for these problems? Because these are problems inherent to the systems in which our work will exist in. It's vitally important that you identify these up front. These are the things that you need to be thinking about. And when we get into this in observational research, like we start talking about this very early on, okay? So what are the things that are going on in this physical space that I'm watching and observing people go through an interaction? What are the things that I'm seeing? Now we've shifted that observational research a bit because of social distancing. We've shifted it. Now we're still going into a physical space, okay? We're maintaining our proper distance. We're wearing a mask. But what we're really looking for is how are people interacting with one another? What's the social norms in the place where I'm at? Because they're going to be different from Kara up in New York City to Eve in South Carolina to James over in Seattle to Chelsea down in Austin. Those norms are going to be all different. And a company is going to I see the real challenge here being a national/international company. A local company is going to be very tuned into what's going on where they're at, but it's going to be very difficult for a national organization to institute, here's how we operate across the company, because every local dynamic is going to be slightly different. And this is a strange thing for a place like the United States or the UK or any country that has a number of population centers, because each one of them is going to operate like its own country now. It's going to be a very strange time. And it's not just the West. I don't know if anybody's noticed the numbers on Russia, but Russia is about to become the second hot spot. Right? U.S. Russia 1-2, just like always. Just here, it's the worst possible race you could have. All right, good work, Chelsea. I'm going to leave some notes on that. But that wraps it up for the feedback loop for Monday. Welcome back, everybody. Glad to see Chelsea in. Glad to see Rebecca in. I've got a call coming up, and I've got to shoot some videos this morning. So I will chat with all of you again tomorrow. Take care.